Hello and welcome to Lore of the Cards, the series that looks to reveal the lore hidden in your Hearthstone deck. A little bit of a different approach today. While we will be looking at lore, our main focus of today's card will be to look at how it is tied to the history of the Warcraft franchise. Each of the shorter episodes coming up will be tied in some way to the Warcraft RTSs. While they may reappear in 3, each of these cards saw their inclusion in the franchise begin with Warcraft 2. Let's start with a basic card, the Elven Archer. The art of the card is by Steve Prescott. As well as producing art for Dungeons & Dragons, Magic and Shadowrun, among others, Prescott has created 20 collectible cards, 2 uncollectible and a couple of adventure pieces. While the image on the card depicts a Night Elf, this unit was first seen in Warcraft 2 and was a High Elf. You could argue that these units were included from the very first game in the series, but those archers were human and simply called Archer. The High Elves' inclusion in what is known as the Second War stems from an event that took place around 2,800 years before the Orcs came to Azeroth, the Troll Wars. Originally Night Elves banished from their home due to their insistence on using the arcane school of magic, responsible for first attracting the attention of the demonic army the Burning Legion to Azeroth, those that would become High Elves founded their kingdom of Quel'Thalas. However, this kingdom was founded upon an ancient troll city. Enraged, the trolls of the Amani tribe attacked, but were driven away due to the elves' mastery of magic, despite outnumbering their foes. For 4,000 years the trolls bided their time, plotting and planning. When they finally attacked, it was not long before the well-prepared trolls had the High Elves on the ropes. This saw the generally solitary elves reach out for aid, contacting the recently formed human kingdom of Arathor. In exchange for teaching 100 humans in the arcane, the Arathi came to the elves' aid, crushing the Amani, a defeat from which the troll tribe would never truly recover. For helping them in their hour of need, the elves were indebted to the Arathi. The elves would live in peace for almost 3,000 years, until the arrival of the Orcs through the Dark Portal. In what would come to be known as the First War, the Orcs defeated the Kingdom of Stormwind, the elves offering very minimal support at this time. With the powerful human kingdom's defeat, and those that had survived travelling to the Kingdom of Lordaeron, the various races and kingdoms met to discuss the threat of the Horde. Ogres, trolls and goblins also among the Orcs' ranks. This would see the Alliance of Lordaeron come to fruition, made up of multiple human kingdoms, Wildhammer and Bronzebeard dwarves, gnomes, and of course, the High Elves. Content with their life of solitude, the elves were the most reluctant to commit troops. However, as one of the survivors of the First War, Anduin Lothar was the last pure-blood descendant of the Arathi bloodline, they felt honour-bound to commit at least a token force. When the Orcs and Trolls attacked Quel'Thalas looking to claim back the Trolls' ancestral lands, many High Elves lost their lives. This saw the elves commit even more troops. The bulk of their support was made up of Elven archers. They made up the majority of the Alliance's ground-based ranged attack. Unencumbered by heavy armour, they were keen of eye and fleet of foot. Their skill with the bow was unmatched. Many elves were also committed to aid the Alliance's lumber mills, helping to research and craft upgrades for their archers. Among the archers were a special cadre referred to as the Rangers. Through training and commitment, these elite few had an intimate bond with the wilds of the Eastern Kingdoms. Their further commitment to master their skills produced archers that were more rugged and even deadlier than their fellows. Their training as scouts saw their vision improve. Their longbows increased their ability to fire pinpoint accurate shots from greater range, and their mastery of marksmanship meant that with the same arrow, a ranger could cause more damage than a lesser archer. The abilities of these secretive elite warriors would sow fear among the ranks of the Horde. The elves would also commit the swift destroyers to the Alliance naval fleet. While not as powerful as the battleships of the Navy, the destroyers were more versatile, not only capable of attacking other vessels, but also able to fire at threats from the sky too. The These elven archers would be seen again briefly in the Third War as the undead scourge marched into Quel'Thalas and brought the High Elven Empire to its knees. The most commonly seen archer during the Third War were those of the Night Elves. They were experts at ambushing their foes, using their abilities to blend with the shadows and their innate speed and cunning to great effect. They were also able to mount hippogriffs to perform an aerial assault. The archers belonged to an, at the time, all-female group called the Sentinels. 10,000 years ago, the Night Elves were Azeroth's dominant race, with no equal. With no real enemies, they became complacent. Military service became more a matter of bloodline than skill. The race had been at peace for so long that it was more a status symbol to be a part of the army, rather than having the need to protect. Almost all the army leaders were nobles with next to no military experience or understanding, with a few exceptions such as Quel'Thalas Ravencrest. Then came the Burning Legion, sparking the War of the Ancients, exposing the many weaknesses in the Night Elf military. Only through sheer determination and help from Azeroth's other races, not to mention a powerful time-travelling mage and dragon, were the Night Elves able to thwart the Legion. With many Night Elf leaders dead or disgraced, it fell to Tyrande Whisperwind to lead her people, High Priestess of the Sisterhood of Elune. She declared sweeping changes. Her religious order were not a hierarchy based on bloodline. They had all been trained in combat, tactics, and healing in order to enact the will of their goddess, but they were somewhat aloof from the rest of Night Elven society. Tyrande concluded that this distance was partly to blame for the utter destruction wrought by the Legion. She formed the Sentinels, and the Sisterhood would guide them. The Sentinels acted as the Night Elves' primary military force, their leader, Shandros Feathermoon, keeping close ties to the Sisterhood with constant communication with her adoptive mother, Tyrande. The Sentinels were trained in combat and the life-giving powers of Elune. Sentinels either specialised in the bow, becoming archers or hippogriff riders, or the Moonglaive, a three-bladed weapon that could be thrown and ricochet between opponents before returning to the wielder, favoured by the huntresses of the Sentinels. The Sentinels are still a key part of the Night Elf military, their presence felt on the front lines to this very day. Still predominantly women, some men have now also joined the order. So, there you have it, the background and lore behind the Elven Archer. A card that arguably has its roots in the very first Warcraft game. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, like, subscribe, sign up for notifications, and most importantly, share it around. That's the best way to spread the Hearthstone lore love. If you enjoyed the art, I've done my best to credit the artists in the description below. Until next time, happy Hearthstoning.